Welcome ladies and gentlemen to another educational chess video by your favorite YouTube channel, Chess Flavor. Today we are going over some basic openings and opening principles. To start off, most of the time you want to control the center of the board with an early pawn push such as e4, d4, or c4. Controlling the center of the board makes it much easier to mobilize and coordinate your major and minor pieces such as your rook, your knight, your bishop, or your queen. Mobilizing and coordinating these pieces makes it much easier to attack and defend and ultimately win the game. You also want to cast your king to the side of the board where it's much safer and you can avoid early checkmates. Of course, there are exemptions, but these steps are sure to help in your future games of chess. Now on to openings. As I said before, e4, d4, and c4 are popular moves for white to start the game. Black has many responses to this, and I will first talk about e4 openings for white / e4 responses for black. In particular, I will first talk about the Sicilian defense, an aggressive and popular counter-attacking opening / defense against e4 that indirectly controls the center with the c bishop pawn. The Sicilian defense shown here is when white plays e4 and black responds with c5. This is a bishop pawn indirectly controlling the center of the board and is counterattacking white by putting pressure on this d4 square, and eventually wants to trade this bishop pawn for a more powerful central pawn later. For example, knight f3, knight c6, d4. This is the open variation, and after a pawn trade, black has given up a bishop pawn in exchange for a central pawn, but white has some central space / control, but this can lead to many fun and exciting games later on. There are many variations from this position, including the accelerated dragon variation, which is g6, aiming to fear and shadow the bishop on g7. Let's say white plays knight f3, that is knight c3, sorry about that. After bishop g7, this is a very strong diagonal for black. Black can also play moves such as e6, aiming to get the bishop out this way, or here, that's not a good move, this way, and also freeing up the pawn to come over here for a pawn push later. But what if the knight didn't come here? Instead, black played d6, another popular move in the Sicilian. After here, if white plays d4 and takes, there's no knight here, and instead black can play knight f6, attacking this pawn. After white defends, there's kind of a weird looking move by black, but it's also called a knight off variation, a6. This prevents white's bishop or any other piece coming from b to b5. If you look before, if let's say white made a move like knight c6, there are 3 pieces looking at this square right now. It's very dangerous for black. Of course, black can still survive, but sometimes it's safe just to play a6 in this position. It prevents this move, and it's also got its fancy name of knight off variation. After here, white can make moves like this, or even can make moves like f4. This is very aggressive, but it's very fun for white, and black might have a little space issue later on. Now on to another e4 opening. After e4, we have e5, a mirror, which attacks the center like this. And after knight f3, which attacks the pawn, black responds by defending with knight c6. And now you have the bishop going to c4. This attacks the weak pawn on f7. It's only defended by the king. And leads to some quick attacks, such as if black were to play knight f6, you have the amazing move knight g5. It's not really that amazing, it's just actually leading to an attack. After black's only real defense, pawn to d5, takes, you have the sacrifice of knight takes, king takes, queen check, attacking both the king and the knight here, but we'll get to that in another video. Now back to this position. After bishop here, black can respond with bishop mirroring again, and this usually results in closed positions and very slow games. Let's say after this you play castles, knight here, and you can play knight here, castles. It's very slow and methodical, and it results in slow but fun games if you win. It's always satisfying to get a slow and easy, nope, not slow and easy, but slow and you clamp down on your opponent. After castles, you can play moves such as d3, opening up the bishop for a pin. Black can also mirror you, and this results in, as I said before, a slow game. It's usually really fun. Now back to here, another variation, sorry, not there, another variation from bishop c5. There's the Evans gambit, which is b4. And after b takes this gambit, which I'm not going to go into too much depth, after c3, its main use is to gain a tempo against this bishop, to take quick control of the center like this. After takes, oh, sorry, forgot about that. The pawn is pinned in this scenario, so after here, you actually play very interestingly, and you bring your queen out to b3, now attacking, as I said before, in this opening. It's very popular to go again at this f7 pawn. Now, black can respond with moves such as queen f6 defending, and it's a very high, climactic, fun, exciting game. I don't know, I need more words to explain it. It's one of my favorite openings, but I'm not going to go too much into depth. And that's basically the Italian game for you. Bring out this bishop, great diagonal to bring it out, and attacks this weak f7 pawn. Main idea of this opening is this weak pawn by the king. Oh yeah, quick reminder just to make sure is that do not play knight g5 when the knight isn't here, because the queen will take your knight. I've actually made this mistake in bullet games when you're playing really fast. Just make sure not to play that. You only play knight g5 when knight comes to f6 and the queen's path is blocked. It's always fun when you get this position. Now I'll go over a short but sweet defense for black in an e4. After e4, black has this interesting move, c6, leading to the Caro-Kann defense. After e4, you have d4, leading to a strong center. When your opponent allows you to do this, it's always a good idea to put both central pawns in this position. After this, black has d5, creating a strong pawn chain to counteract your strong center. And white can either take the pawn, leading to the exchange variation, a very open position, or can push the pawn, this is the advanced variation, and can lead to closed games, leading to moves such as this. But black actually wants to break the center of white in this position. Black's main goal is to get this bishop out in the advanced variation before, let's just say moves like this, before it can push this pawn. Otherwise, if you push your pawn now, you close out your bishop, and now it's kind of stuck behind your walls. Do you know what I mean? That's basically the Caro-Kann defense for you. It's a unique defense by black, and now you know what to do if you're playing against it. Now I'll go over a response to e4, similar to the Caro-Kann. After e4, black will respond with e6, is known as the French defense. After d4, d5, and moves such as e5, the advanced variation. It's similar to the Caro-Kann, as if you take as an open game, very fun, exciting, lots of attacks. But if you do the advanced variation, it's going to create a closed game with many pawn chains, such as c3. Sorry, it's black's move. Black will try to break the pawn chain, and white will continue to support it. And if black moves c4, you see both have long pawn chains, and this will lead to a slow closed game. It's a fun opening by both sides, yet it could result in some slow games. A problem for black is that this bishop usually gets stuck behind this pawn chain, but you could try to develop it out this way, or try to break the pawn chain in the future. Last but not least, I'm going to talk about the Ruy Lopez opening. very similar to the Italian game. I have no clue why I'm doing it last instead of after the Italian game, but I'm doing it now. So it starts off with d4, e5, similar to the Italian game. Knight f3, knight c6, also similar to the Italian game, but now you bring out your bishop to b5, quickly attacking this knight that's defending the pawn which your f3 knight is attacking. This aims for a quick attack for white, but also can lead to bad positions for white too. After this, black can also counterattack the pawn like this, and even if you were to take, actually black takes with the b pawn here to activate the bishop. And if you be greedy and take this pawn, this could lead for very dangerous positions for white, because after queen e7, you're lining up a bunch of attacks on your queen, because now your knight's under attack, but also your pawn's under attack, and your pawn is in front of your king. So this could lead to dangerous positions for white. So it might not be the best choice for you if you want to attack quick with white. But it's also really fun, and also can lead to many, let's just say, quick ties, if you know what I mean. Grandmasters use these openings to tie in like 6 or 8 moves, like every time they want to tie. It's kind of boring when they do it, but you know, they do it, and the Grandmaster, so guess we gotta deal with it. So I hope you liked this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do that shabam, and hope to see you another time. Maybe we could go over the fried liver attack, or the what was it again? Oh yeah, that was the Evans Gambit, one of my favorite openings. Yeah. Thank you. Adios, amigos.